turn you into red milk.
Let's make a new build. One that goes boom. I hope you guys enjoy this. Hey guys, my name is Civic Dude and I'm playing Path of Exile 2, and I wanted to level up a new warrior playing as a Titan, and I specifically wanted to take advantage of all the AOE stacking that we can do, and I thought that a fun skill to use here would be a quarterstaff skill called Wind Blast. I think it's super cool to get screen-wide explosions and take advantage of all that extra AOE that we can get with Titan. Stick around and let's see how this build shakes out. Well, as you can see from the footage there, this build I think absolutely slaps. It has huge AOE, gets really good explosions from Herald of Ash as well as armor explosions, and it just really shines whenever you're trying to take out screens of mobs. The single target is actually pretty acceptable thanks to our Tempest Bell and our Whirling Assault skills. So we definitely have the ability to take this into in-game and really do well with bosses, as well as those in-game encounters with things like Breach and Delirium and just lots of mobs all at once. This build is nothing super complicated. It's pretty much using just Wind Blast and Whirling Assault to deal a lot of damage in a very big AoE. The biggest thing here is that we use our Titan Ascendancy to increase the small passive nodes that we take. The weapon that we use here is nothing special. It's simply just a high fizz damage, and this one's not even that good, but it's simply just a high fizz damage quarterstaff that takes advantage of that flat physical to then deliver the damage. One trick that I am employing really hard on this build is plus level of melee skills. So I have plus level here on the quarterstaff and on the gloves as well as on the amulet. And that by itself is definitely pushing some of the damage that we have. So we're definitely already well over level 20 with our gems. Some of them are even up to level 28 here with the Tempest Bell thanks to a Prism of Belief unique jewel. And that is, I think, one of the unsung heroes of this build, because since we are a Titan, we have to split since we are a Titan, we're on the left side of the tree, and we are using quarterstaff and those kinds of evasion and intelligence-ish based things. We kind of have to split our dexterity, intelligence, and strength nodes, or points, very judiciously. And so sometimes that can make leveling up your skills difficult, right? Because you have to have a lot of intelligence or a lot of strength or something like that for each of the levels for the gems. And so one way to get around that is to get the plus level of all melee skills affix on your gear, because as those levels are applied, it does not increase the amount of intelligence or attributes that are required for that gem. So it's a really great way to get around any attribute requirements that you may run into with your gems. So if you didn't know about that trick, I definitely encourage that with just about any build. I think that's going to be huge to help you still feel like you're making progress without having to actually be as strict with your attribute requirements. Let me go over the passive tree here real quick and just show you what we are working with. First off, I took the attribute nodes here. I skipped these damage nodes for the beginning, but I have since spec'd into them. But I took the attribute nodes here, came down to the increased area of effect, and immediately started up here to get the small skill speed nodes. I didn't take the mana converted to life cost node at the very beginning because I didn't have any good recovery at that time, but I did want the attack speed, so I got that right here real quick. From there, I beelined it down to, what did we go to? I think we went down to these life recovery nodes because I wanted to stack life regen as much as I could on my gear, because one of the things about this build, we are running Berserk, which causes you to lose a percentage of maximum life per rage. And I think the way that I factored this, we get 47 max rage, and I think that's 4.6% life, what is effectively 4.7% life degen. And so my goal was to counteract that with at least 4.7% life regen. And so picking up life regen on my gear has caused me to get that. I think I'm close to like 5.5% right now, something like that. I'd have to do the math to be for sure on that one, but that was my goal. And so that was why I picked up these life recovery rate nodes, because not only does that help our life regen, but it also helps our life leech, which we are using node here for leech there. We are also not removing the life leech effects when our unreserved life is filled. So that's really good there. And we have on our gear a leech node here, as well as mana leech on our ring and gloves. Although I will be swapping out one of these two. I think it's going to be the ring, because we only need one of them. Really, we don't need both. In addition to that, we also picked up some damage nodes here, as well as AOE. And then over here, some more life. And then over here, some more AOE if we are stunning enemies recently and immobilizing enemies. And thankfully we are. Wind Blast does a ton of stun buildup. And so we constantly stun things all the time. And so we are absolutely taking advantage of that. We also picked up these AOE nodes up here. And then we are working our way up to Battle Fever here for additional damage and attack speed. Long term, I do want to pick up a jewel here. I forgot what it's called, but it's the one that is basically the intuitive leap from Path of Exile 1, where you can pick up these nodes and like this attack damage node here without being connected to your tree. You can also pick up this one here, which will be nice for additional max res and a little bit extra defense in the build. Now, because we are heavy stunning all the time, I wanted to get the damage with hits is lucky against heavy stunned enemies. It just makes perfect sense to me. And also because we are running rage, I wanted to get these max rage nodes here, as well as inherent loss of rage is slower right here. Optionally, you could come here for even more max rage, as well as additional rage loss modifiers. But I'm not sure if I need that one actually, but we'll consider that for later for sure. The idea with this build is that I'm going to not actually be armor based, but more evasion based. I wanted to pick up evasion type gear. To me, it just made a lot of sense. So as I hover over the gear here, you can see that it is mostly evasion, some energy shield based gear, but it is all kind of crap at the moment. Honestly, we're still working up to decent gear with the build. But the idea is that it's all rares, and we pick up just stats and resistances, life, and evasion wherever we can. The two main mods that I'm looking for on the pieces of gear that they can roll on are things like life regen, as well as plus melee skills. So there's only a couple of required mods that I really wanted to prioritize, those being those right there, as well as the leech nodes, or leech mods. So whether you get mana leech on your weapon or mana leech on your gloves, or vice versa, it's up to you. Really doesn't matter, just as long as you have it somewhere. And that should be good. Now, real quick, let's take a look at the skills that we are using. So Wind Blast is our main clearing skill. It looks like this if you've never seen it. With the AOE from Titan, it is pretty substantial. And supporting it, we have things like Martial Tempo, Reach for additional AOE, as well as, so the downside here of less accuracy rating doesn't affect us because we took Resolute Technique, which makes this, completely counteracts this downside. So not a big deal there. Long Shot is a good because we're trying to hit things at a really arm's length, keep them really far away. And so Long Shot helps us out with that damage there. Devastate is really good because it will, fully break armor when inflicting a heavy stun. And like I said, we are inflicting heavy stuns pretty much all the time with this build. And so we're constantly breaking enemies' armor. And then once we do that, we trigger an explosion here with Armor Explosion. And so that, coupled with our explosions that we get from Herald of Ash, really make for some good screen-wide clears while mapping. Our main single target damage gem here is Whirling Assault, and as you can see, we are still on just a 3 link, but Whirling Assault supported by Conk Effect, and then Heft for more maximum hit damage, as well as Fire Infusion to just help with some of that extra damage. Now, this one is potentially up in the air to be swapped out with something else. I'm not totally sold on this one just yet because we are primarily a Fizz build, except for the fire damage that we get from Herald of Ash. So I'm not totally certain that I really like Fire Infusion here, but it is there for now, and it seems to be just fine for the moment. Now, this by itself isn't our only source of, real good bossing damage. We also, of course, because we're a quarterstaff build, support this with Tempest Bell, just like every other quarterstaff build does. For here, we use Heavy Swing because the downside, again, doesn't matter. Brutality, again, we are pretty much a physical-only build, and so this one is good for that. And then Close Combat, because we're always kind of within a short amount of range to the bell, and so we pick up that as well. Shockwave Totem is there for utility, so things like Font of Blood, Font of Rage, and Font of Mana will help give us more life, rage, and mana. Berserk is good for attack damage. It's good for attack leech, or Fizz damage leached as life as well, but that's not the primary reason why we have it. It's mostly there to increase our rage effect. Once I get enough spirit, which I'm hoping I can get on the build, I'm also going to be adding in Wind Dancer for just additional evasion rating. It's going to be good for defenses. And then as a get me away from mobs kind of ability, as well as sometimes freezing them, I use Wave of Frost as well, because it's a really big AoE because I am a Titan, and so that really helps out sometimes whenever I just want to get some separation between me and a pack of mobs. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's about all that I can say on the build at the moment. I do still have one more ascendancy point to get. That's just going to be the more damage against heavy stunned enemies. Like I said, it's not a build enabling node right here, but it is going to be just a damage spike that we are looking forward to. So from here, I'm looking to, like I said, finish off this wheel up here. Oh, I didn't even show you guys. So far, I'm only level 79, so definitely have a ways to go. But at the moment, we are doing really well. In the footage that I showed, I was running T10s, T11s, so that's the highest maps that I've been pushing so far this league, and this build has been able to handle that pretty well, actually. At least as well as the Thorns build, if not better, honestly, because it has better damage, I think, than the Thorns build does. Or at least more consistent damage, because you're not relying on enemies hitting you to then prime how much damage you have. So anyways, from here, we're going to be building into additional things like the physical damage here. We're going to work towards the, like I said, Intuitive Leap, which I cannot remember the name. Or I'm sorry, not Intuitive Leap. Thread of Hope is what it's called on POE1. But we're going to work towards that jewel over here to get these nodes. I'm also considering maybe working my way over here for these nodes, although that's quite a bit of a commitment. So we'll see about that one as far as that goes. I also would like to pick up the From Nothing gem or a jewel so that we can allocate nodes that are close to Iron Reflexes, which would be these 4 area nodes right here. That would be really good, as well as we can also pick up the 7% increased attributes node. I think that's going to be really well for this build as well. So from that, that's pretty much it, guys. We are still leveling, still getting up to full end game on this one. Well, I'll just hover over the gem real quick. Like I said, this is a Prism of Belief, and it just helps us get additional levels on our Tempest Bell, which just helps with more single target. And then down here is just a random trash rare jewel that I had that just gave us a little bit additional stun threshold and global physical damage. So nothing too special there. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is the build in a nutshell. Like I said, it's not a complex build. It's just taking advantage of the fact that Titan makes all of our small nodes better. And it seems to be doing pretty well. It's good on offense. It seems to be pretty good on defense. The instant leech and the mana leech that we have is just fantastic. This node over here causes all leech, 20% of all leech to be instant. And so not only is that life, but it's also mana leech. So that helps us out a lot. And from here, I'm just going to keep leveling and see how far I can take this build. Like I said, I'm level 79 now. I do expect to take this one all the way to the full end game. But until then, guys, let me know if you've played a build similar to this. I'd be curious to see how you approached it. And until then, I will see you in the next video, and take care, guys.